for the semi-finals. What a contest the Dutch put up. But in the end, spot kicks decide it. Spain are through. The Netherlands are out. Alex Kirkland stayed up late for us. He's in Spain. Come to you in a moment. Alex, it's good, wasn't it? Good game again.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think in defeat and going out, Holland can take a lot out of the two games they've played against arguably the best team in the world, certainly in Europe. Certainly one of the youngest, most talented in Spain, not going anywhere. And it looked early on to me that Spain were going to run away with this. But there was some changes made, and the Dutch have got a little bit more steel about them. And I have to say, Koeman's done a good job with this Dutch squad. The game in Rotterdam was excellent. This game was probably even better. You know, Spain's deficiencies at the back, I suppose, in terms of allowing the space and allowing the Dutch back into the game. But again, we know Spain are a good side. We know they have all these talented players. But I think what we learned from the two games more is that actually the Dutch are starting to find their feet again. And they could be back to sort of mixing it amongst the big boys. Koeman's done a good job, but they're out. Yeah,
Craig makes a fair point. There was almost kind of an inevitability about it. Once Spain opened the scoring, you think, here we go. They're going to run away with this now. But the Dutch put up a good fight.
Yeah, on Spanish soil as well. And that's absolutely right. Listen, reigning European champions in Spain, once they took the lead, you think they're going to absolutely run away with this. But this is certainly a different Dutch team than maybe what we're used to. If Ronald Koeman can keep the squad together, we know the Dutch at times can be their own worst enemy. But they show that they're talented. I don't think that's ever been in question. But certainly have a bit of steel about them, a bit of fight about them, and it showed. With quality, that came to the fore despite the likes of Memphis Depay now playing his trade down in South America. Just continues to be a bright spark for this Dutch side.
Alex, you take a look at the celebrations from the Spanish after the game. It just showed how seriously they're taking this competition.
Yeah, there's also a lot of pressure on Spain these days. They set the bar so high winning the Euros last year. Everyone knows they're one of the best teams in the world. Everyone expects them to play well and to win playing well as well. These are two really tough ties. I think they weren't at their best collectively in either leg. They weren't at their best collectively tonight. But what they've got is players of the quality of Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams who can make the difference. Twice it looked like those two had sort of stepped up and won the game for Spain. Nico setting up the second goal for Oyarzabal, Lamine scoring the third. Both times they got pegged back. It went all the way to extra time and penalties, as you saw there. Atmosphere at Mestalla looked and sounded incredible. 48,000 people there. Unai Simon making the big save, and then Pedri with the penalty. But there is an expectation around this Spain team now, because, like I say, because of what they've done in the last year. People expect them. And the Nations League record is superb. They've been into the Final Four on all three occasions in the last few years. They're there again. They might not have been. Netherlands pushed them all the way. And like I say, I think it was very evenly matched over the two legs, but they're there thanks to the quality of those key players.
They'll be kicking themselves. In Rotterdam, they had the sending off in the second half, and then
the late goal,
crazy challenge. And then the late goal from Mikel Merino. And injury time just made it that little bit tougher. But I was surprised. Alex, what was the situation with Pedri not playing tonight? Bearing in mind his form at Barcelona has been terrific. Was this just giving him a bit of a rest, or was he actually just left out the side?
He has been playing a lot of football. I think that Luis de la Fuente really likes Fabian Ruiz. He really likes him as one of the midfield two alongside Zubimendi. We know that Pedri has sort of changed his position a bit for Barca, hasn't he, this season, where he's been playing a bit deeper for Barca in a midfield two. For Spain, he's still considered more of a number 10. They went for Dani Olmo. I think he was trying to manage his minutes a little bit. I think he was recognising that he's been playing a lot of football. He needs a break. Of course, he's got this game for Barcelona coming up on Thursday, that rescheduled game in La Liga. So I think it was about managing his minutes. But like I say, there's competition for places in this midfield, especially with Fabian, which is the position that Pedri would be playing for Spain if he was playing the same way that he is for Barcelona. But De La Fuente really likes Fabian in that position.
120 minutes for Lamine Yamal as well. We learned that he can't take penalties, but he can score some great goals still.
Well, you know, he wanted to give Pedri a rest, but he needed Lamine Yamal to stay all the way. But he's nugget in this story is if you get 1-on-1, you're probably screwed against him. You've got to get doubled up when you're playing Lamine Yamal. Teams try and do that, but when the ball's so quick over the top and you don't have time for teammates to come across and help you, he can go both ways. But once he gets it onto that left foot and that space opens up, how many times over the last 18 months, for club and country, have we seen him, make those opportunities for himself, but not all the time, but more often than not, actually pick out that corner. Mm-hmm. He does it with great authority and almost consummate ease. We see, we've criticised a lot of players over the piece about end product. And yeah, he doesn't score every time he comes on that left foot. But you very rarely see him make the chance for himself and then shovel it like 10, 15 yards wider over the bar. He generally either makes the goalkeeper work or he finds the corner. That is just, of course he's sublimely confident because he's playing so well even as a teenager. But that is somebody who's just got so much confidence in their ability. And as I said, he's probably one of the toughest players in the world at the moment to mark one-on-one. And unfortunately, that's what happened to Maatsen there. And the end result was just a great goal.
Alex, anything you'd like to add on this game before we let you go?
The other one, you mentioned him there, is Dean Howson, and a lot of excitement here about him and what he can bring to this Spanish team. It looks so natural, fits right in, great on the ball. We know the Spanish love a ball-playing centre-back. You watch him sometimes, there's a little bit of Gerard Piqué about just how comfortable he is on the ball, his range of passing, picked out some brilliant passes tonight, and he came into the team and the squad at the last minute, drafted in, was with the under-21s, was brought in due to Inigo Martinez's injury. I think he's here to stay now. He looks like very much a future part of this Spain team. A lot of excitement about him here.
Thank you. Alex, I'm a bit concerned that you've kind of gone to the Shaka school of growing a beard in that you can't.
I just had a weekend off, a couple of days off, and I haven't shaved, Dan. Simple as that. I'll shave next time, okay?
Yeah, that'd be much appreciated. Thank you very much.
You don't like anybody who doesn't grow a full beard, do you?
No, you want a proper beard, don't you? Not, look,
All right, I'll show you.
Shaka, we know you can't. We've seen
You
it.
just wait.
It doesn't join up.
You just wait. My beard's coming.
Yours is the only... I'm not even going to say
Alex, thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. Just a reminder, of course, a busy weekend in La Liga. It all starts for me and Craig on Thursday. Barcelona taking on Osasuna. France advance then on penalties to the semi-finals. Croatia are out. Julien Laurent joins us. Jules, how was that for you?
It was much better than Thursday to start with, Dan. So much better. I mean, we talked on Thursday night about how bad that performance was, how bad the decision, the choices from Deschamps tactically in that first leg were. Everything went pretty badly in that first leg. The second leg was so much better. To start with, the team that Deschamps picked this time was the right one. It worked. They had a lot of shots that we just saw on the graphic with all the stats. 28 shots, I think 8 on target. Livakovic was amazing again for Croatia in goal. And in the end, I think they deserved to go through, even if they had to go through a very eventful penalty shootout. It was still a deserved win, I think, for the French.
Kylian Mbappe, how would you rate his performance in this, Jules?
I thought it was interesting, Dan, that 7 games in a row now he doesn't score for the national team. This is the longest drought ever for him. He's never stayed that long without scoring, but he did a lot of really good things tonight. We saw a bit in the highlights, some of the really good shot that he had, and Livakovic again was very good tonight. And I felt he led by example really, really well. Okay, there was no goal in the end. He's involved in the second goal because he's 1-2 with Olise, then creates the chance and the goal for Dembele, the second goal. So I felt he was really good. I like the front four. I like the Dembele, Mbappe, Olise, Barcola front four. Then Desiré Doué came on the left hand side. Was really good for his first game really for France. So there's something really interesting in there. We just have to hope that Deschamps stops thinking that a very old school diamond midfield is the way forward. Or this is much better. A double pivot, a front four that can combine well, that can also work hard to recover the ball. And then we saw the counter pressing tonight for France was quite efficient at times. So there was really a lot of positive. And I guess even if Kylian didn't score tonight, I think his game was still good.
How big a deal is this for France, Jules?
They tried before the game to say, well, it's just the Nation League. We've heard that so many times, right? But you saw at the end how much it meant to them. It's a semi-final now against Spain, back in Germany, exactly where Spain beat us in the semi-final of the Euros in the summer. So it'd be very interesting to see what has changed in the space of a year, really, between July 2024 and June 2025. We will see if we can have more control. I agree with what Craig said on the Spain-Netherlands game. if you open the game for Spain, it makes it a great game. It's very entertaining, but then you expose yourself a lot, and they're so good going forward and attacking you. So you need a bit of control, but you also can't sit too deep because they will punish you as well. So it'd be very interesting how Deschamps approached that game against Spain. But it's a great challenge, really, for this French team.
Portugal then, who advance to the next round. Jules is still with us. Jules, so much better from that Portugal side that we saw struggle so much in that first leg.
Yeah, that's right. They were much better. They created far many more chances. Sorry, they could have really even won that game, I think, before extra time. So it was good. We saw Cristiano Ronaldo not playing extra time, by the way, coming off in the 90th minute, replaced by Gonzalo Ramos, who ended up scoring as well in extra time with the assist from Diogo Jota. So good from Portugal, even if there's some mistakes there from one of the defenders, so I can't even remember who now.
Ruben Diaz.
Friend. Sorry, exactly. Yeah, on the Dorgo. Thank you very much. On the Dorgo cross. Then for Eriksen, not a great Denmark team, but a Denmark team that plays with a lot of energy. Arsene Try, Brian Remmer doing a really good job there. And you see as well when Portugal are a bit under pressure, when the opposition has great runners and a lot of intensity, that could cause problem to them. But I think in the end, Portugal are just too much on the bench as well, too much resources to go and win this game.
Yeah, no doubt. The best team won over the two legs.
Yeah, and certainly the most talented team. You know, Denmark are sort of limited to an extent, but they're workmanlike and they have got a threat. They're not the worst team by a long stretch, but they lack a little bit of guile. They make up for it in their drive and their intensity and their work rate and their organisation. But this is a talented Portugal side that ultimately, you know, Roberto Martinez will have to get more out of if they're going to be successful. And not just in the Nations League, that's not going to sell it to anybody. We're looking at the 2026 World Cup now. Obviously, Ronaldo did go off, but I don't think there was much choice. I would imagine playing 90 minutes in a game of that intensity when you're 40 is a challenge.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was not a substitution, I think, that was a head-scratcher. Gonzalo Ramos comes on, you know, much fresher, much younger. But Portugal, yeah, they deserved it. And obviously Trincao coming off the bench as well, I think, getting a couple of goals. It's just how far he can take this team once it gets to the nitty-gritty of major tournaments. That's going to be the big question for Roberto Martinez.
Listen, we know what to expect from Denmark, certainly over recent years. They've not been able to match too many of the big boys in terms of talent, but certainly in fight and physicality, they will give as good as they get, and that's where they found their successes. Now, from a Portugal perspective, again, far more talented at home, but the concern for Roberto Martinez, certainly in the long term, is how many of these players Rafael Leao kind of sums it up for me. As talented, and I know we have exactly these conversations around Rafael Leao for AC Milan as we are now having about Portugal. As talented a player as he just is so frustrating. And again, you see that in a team that, especially if you have Ronaldo up front, if you are playing a front three, the two players either side of him there's a lot of expectation on them. And for Leao to be anonymous now in 2 games back-to-back is concerning. Can Roberto Martinez get that right? How does he get that right? I'm not sure. But my fear is that he's not prepared to make some of the big decisions that maybe Portugal need him to make.
How would you rate Cristiano Ronaldo's night, Jules?
I thought it was difficult. I mean, we mentioned the fact that he didn't play extra time at 40.
He scored a goal, you hater.
No. Let me finish. I'll start by that because Luka Modric didn't play extra time in the France-Croatia game as well. As 40, he's almost 40 years old. Too. There's a moment where you can be the greatest ever. You can be Cristiano. You can be Modric. You can be Messi. There will be a time where you can't play 120 minutes at this kind of level with this kind of intensity. It's just as simple as that. It's nothing against Cristiano or Modric or the others. It's just your body can't do it anymore. So. But I felt for the 90 minutes he was on the pitch, the penalty is a dreadful penalty. This is not the first time now. At the Euros, he obviously missed one. This is not the first time and probably not the last one. For the rest, I thought he tried. Obviously, he got in good position. There's a couple of good crosses from Nuno Mendes, especially on the left-hand side, the in-swingers that are perfect for him. The goal he scores is a pure finisher goal. You could be 60 years old and you will always follow up after a shot on the edge of the box. This is why you've been you've learned to do and you've done it. Cristiano must have done it maybe 100,000 times in his career. And 90% of the time, it doesn't lead to anything. But the rest 10%, you score a tap in like he does. So credit to him. But that will never stop. Even at 45, 50, 55, he will keep doing that run to just see if the keeper pushes the ball or he hits the post or something to be there. So this is, again, not a surprise. For the rest, Craig and I think, share exactly the same view. I just don't think he's good enough anymore for those kind of games. And tonight and in the first leg on Thursday, I'm sorry, but we saw it.
Do we have to have this conversation again with those people out there that we're not denigrating a career? It has been phenomenal. And I mean phenomenal. To still be going at this age is incredible and having the desire to turn up. But somebody has to take you aside and have the stomach and the guts to do it and say, will a 41-and-a-half-year-old be able to lead the line in the 2026 World Cup for one of the most talented teams in the tournament? Bearing in mind the 2022 Euros, World Cup, and the 2024 Euros, we had evidence that at this level, he just can't do it anymore. And maybe you could sit him on the bench or just put him in the squad. But then there's a sideshow and then there's a pressure on the manager. Why you're not playing Ronaldo? Why you're not doing this? And so I think it lacks foresight from Roberto Martinez just to continue selecting him, even if he gets the odd goal. And he does, and he did in the qualifiers for the Euros, playing the Liechtensteins and other teams like that. But there is a body of evidence that is, I'm not making this up, in the last two major tournaments, he was either dropped, as he was by Fernando Santos, or he struggled, like the last Euros. If you're a manager, you have to look at yourself and say, what am I going to do in America and Canada and Mexico in 2022? How am I going to deal with this? Or am I just going to bury my head in the sand and say, well, he wants to play for Portugal, I'm going to play him. That's a recipe for you winning absolutely diddly squat and not being competitive. That's a fact. They were uncompetitive at the last major tournament, and this noose around Roberto Martinez's neck is not going to go away because he made some conscious decisions when he got the job about who was the main man. And that's what he said in the press conference. And I think it's going to come back and bite him in the backside.
Atrocious in the first half. Germany, I thought, pretty poor in the second half. These are two giants. I don't think they're anywhere near as good as the best teams in Europe right now. But it was a fun game. It would have been more fun without that brain fart, without Buongiorno's stupid the penalty which put Germany ahead, and of course without that Renzo. Like I could have dealt with even more extra time on this Nations League Sunday.
4 out of 4.
It's a classic case, isn't it, when you're playing against a team and they're struggling and you're 3-0 up and you're at home. You go in at half-time, you got one manager in Spalletti probably reading the riot act or certainly making his feelings known. You've got the other one who I think is trying to go the opposite way and try and make sure that they're switched on when they go out for the second half and that it's not over. And sometimes players just switch off and go, yeah. And, it only takes a mistake and a bad pass from Leroy Sané and Moise Kean. All of a sudden it's 3-1 and it's gone from a no-hoper to maybe there's a little bit of hope. And then it's difficult to pick yourself up
to find that gas pedal.
To find it again and to get yourself going because you've given the other team some momentum, some belief, and Italy took that. And so it is sometimes a difficult scenario. You think, you're 3-0 up. But as soon as you switch off, we saw it from the set piece, and then we saw it in the second half from Germany. As soon as you go below the level that you set in that first 45 minutes, good players and good teams will punish you. And Italy took full advantage of it. It could have went, horribly wrong for Nagelsmann in Germany, and they would have got some amount of stick if they'd been 3-0 up and had gone out of this tournament, be it the Nations League or not. So I agree with Gab. I think either these two teams are good sides, but I think they've got some flaws and some stuff to patch up before they're really mixing it again.
Now everything is set with regards to who will face who in the semi-finals. I don't know what it is. It's exciting, isn't it?
And no extra time.
Germany against Portugal, Spain against June the 4th. We have to wait. Oh my crikey!
Oh, and guess what? I'm on my golf trip.
But it's only one leg. so that's good.
All right.
By the way, there's a real bee in my bonnet about these extra times, and not just because we started the show really late tonight,
right?
Because these games kicked off late because of the clock changes.
Yes.
Is another case of UEFA and FIFA and the regulation bodies just not reading the room. The Nation League is in the dates of the old friendlies, right? And I get it, there's a bit more to play for, there's a bit more jeopardy. But we do not need, these players in particular, and we have this thing with Barcelona who are now playing on Thursday, there are other teams. We do not need, unless it's the World Cup or something, or a major tournament, these games going to extra time and adding even more game time for the players when we could have went straight to penalties. But I think it's a classic case over the last few years of governing bodies just not reading. Yeah, were they entertaining? Was the extra time quite exciting? Actually, yeah, but that's not what it's about. It's about, are we just putting players through too much? And I thought having extra time in Nations League games, the two-leggers, for me, it was unnecessary.
Quick on this, Gab.
I disagree. I loved it. I don't think it's just about club football. Oh, let's go back to the Premier League where Liverpool won the title. They have a 12-point lead. I thought the crowds were good. I thought this was a big deal for the countries that were involved in it. And I think the other big thing is, guys, it's Sunday night. I mean, except obviously the Barcelona situation is a highly unusual one. But these guys won't be playing again until Saturday.
Gab, have I got you on? I just want to ask you one more thing. Juventus say goodbye to Motta today. This is not a surprise.
No, not a surprise. I think Igor Tudor is going to take over. He seems to be a specialist in taking over. Just 2-month deal through the end of the season. I guess he was dying to come back. He was Pirlo's assistant previously coached Marseille, where it wasn't great, and obviously wasn't great at Lazio either. They have to figure things out. This is very much an interim appointment. Motta really laid an egg here, but let me tell you, he did not act alone. Cristiano Giuntoli has the director of football appointed him, has a ton to answer for as well. If I'm Juve, he's on thin ice as well, and I think you really have to look at both of them come the end of the season.
Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Shaka and Craig with Jules has stayed late as well to answer your questions.
Extra time in the Nations League. Let's be fair to the countries. All that nonsense.
You're right. Well, I don't really know what that last bit
Well, it's
means.
Gab on the show.
Oh, I see. Was that your Gab impression?
No.
Even with Craig's negativity, he surely has to agree that today's Nations League games have been spectacular.
Really care about the Nations League.
They were good. They were fun, though, weren't they?
No, not fun.
They were
not
fun. They were fun.
We all sat there, right? By the second, berating any game that looked like it was going to go to extra time.
And then 3 of them did.
And then 3. Absolutely. In fact, I jumped up when Denmark scored.
When Christian Eriksen scored.
When Christian Eriksen scored, I was actually off my chair.
Yes.
With excitement at the fact we were going to start the show at normal time. And then the screen below, who scored?
Yeah.
Portugal.
Yes.
No,
it was
Portugal,
Holland
Denmark.
scored, I think.
Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No, they were good games.
They were good games.
But they were good. Look, I'll be honest with you. At the end of the day, it's the Nations League, and I'm only really interested in the big tournaments. But we had some big teams all playing each other.
Yes.
Which made it more interesting. And
Yes.
I think that was.
And Italy. Have the guys been in a game where a corner like the Kimmich Musiala was scored?
No.
No.
That's
Yes.
underage stuff. It was how Gab described it. It really was.
Yeah. Craig?
No. You just never ever is switched off. Well, you should never ever be as switched off as that in any game.
For Jules, who's better, Elise or Barcola?
I don't want to sit on the fence because you're going to say that I sit on the fence. You can't compare 2 different players. I know they are technically wingers, both of them, but they've got very different abilities.
Who would you pick first for a pickup game?
For a pickup game, because I would want to play my style of football, so possession, escape, I'd go for Elise.
What am I
You,
hearing?
Dan Thomas, you probably would just play in transition because you sit deep and park the bus. So you need Barcola and his pace. But for me, Shaka and Craig, we pick Olise and just control the midfield of the park, just control the game.
Olise, Barcola, Dewey, Mbappe. God, I mean, if they can get it...
You just need a good coach, Craig.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's leaving though, isn't he? He's announced he's leaving. If they get it right in the other areas, I forgot Dembele, and he's playing the best football of his career. I mean, going forward, could argue the French are better than Spain going forward.
Yeah, I think so.
Could be better.
Meanwhile, from the
What are
Sublime...
you looking at me for? Time. Well, shut up.
Well, because
Time.
you were the one who said, let's be quick, and then you're blabbering on.
Well,
about
if we're
your-
going to show...
naming all the whole French squad.
If we're going to
The very
show...
whole French population.
If I'm going to sit through some of those guff highlights from the main show, I'm going to look on here.
Right, from France to
tell you.
Scotland, will they qualify for the 20...
Come on, listen.
What happened to you during the show as well?
What I do?
He's blowing his nose.
My nose is a little runny.
He had a big sheet of paper come in, he went like that. then there was tissues. For God's sake. What's the question?
Will Scotland qualify for the World Cup?
Who's in the qualification group?
You should know, Craig.
I don't watch them.
Well, you watched them today, you said.
No, I
Hilton?
didn't. That's not
Watch
true.
it second half.
I put the TV on.
Right, okay. And it just happened to be on the
I
Scotland game.
was walking in and out the room, but
What are you doing walking
It's
in the
Denmark, Belarus, and Greece in that group.
there you are.
I don't know. I don't know.
Craig and Shaka, when your club manager is sacked, when you're on international break, what's the feeling like among players in the club? Confusion, awkwardness? Motta sacked today, of course.
Well, it depends.
Who got sacked today?
Motta got sacked, didn't he?
Oh, Tiago Motta.
If you're in the team, you're confused. If you're out of the team, you're delighted. Simple as that.
Right.
Depends on your relationship with the manager.
If Spain and Argentina, Jules, face each other with full health, who comes out on top?
A good question. I don't know. I like the dynamic that Spain have right now. De La Fuente and this young squad that we've said many times now since the Euros have just brought more variety to their game, not just the possession, ultra possession that Luis Enrique had before, but there's just a bit of everything in that team, which is great. The Argentina team, I'm sorry, I know they won the other night without Messi, and Thiago Almada scored the goal and the winning goal against the good Uruguay team, but this is still a team that is reliant a lot on Lionel Messi, which again is a different dynamic to a team that is very strong collectively, like the Spain team is with the ball especially. It's a good Argentina team because they've won a lot and they know exactly what to do to go and win. This is valuable experience for sure, but personally, I think I would just give the edge to Spain.
One shot on target.
Not Scotland.
No. One shot on target. One shot all night.
Who?
The US men's national team.
Oh, okay. All right. There we are. That's not very good,
check-
is it?
No. The greatest collection of American players
Golden generation.
ever. The team that's 5 to 10 years away from ruling the world.
Yes. Well, be sure to watch Football Americas tonight. They won't be pulling any punches.
Managers and players.
Tomorrow night. Is it tonight?
It's live
tonight.
after the
After the
Panama
game.
Mexico game. Yeah, I said it during the show. I was promoting.
That was
You're busy with your tissue.
Mexico,
Yeah,
they
blow my nose.
haven't started yet.
What's that?
The teams that you mentioned who I forgot. Mexico?
Panama, yes.
Panama, Mexico hasn't started yet.
I know. The show starts at the end of that tie.
Well, that's factually correct, but it hasn't started yet.
I don't know what you're saying.
What a week to make that statement from Maurizio Pochettino.
Yes, it's very true.
What
right.
a week for people to come out talking about their talent level.
Jules.
How many times have we told them?
We're hurrying up.
I'll go now.
Jules, when are we going to see Pogba again and where?
I think he's going to wait for the summer. We wrote a piece on the website for when his ban was lifted, which was I think March 15th. So it's not that far. You can find it on the website. Just to explain the situation, he could have gone in January. Then even if you're a free agent, if you don't have a contract like him, you just can't sign anywhere you want at any time of the season. You still has to do in the windows of each league. I believe right now it's only MLS that is still open. I think that's right. And Japan was also open, but now so there was just not many options. I think he's going to wait for the summer. He was close to Fiorentina and Marseille were the two clubs that were the most interested in him. But in the end, I think he decided to wait for the summer. He would have more options. He would be also, I think, ready fitness-wise to go into a pre-season, a proper fitness training into pre-seasons, which I think is good for him. So we will see. But ideally, he would want to stay in one of the big 5 European leagues.
Final question, Craig. Start, bench, drop. Club World Cup, Ballon d'Or, extra time games in the Nations League when you're working.
Great question.
World Cup, Ballon d'Or. Club World Cup, gone, dropped totally. Then the Ballon d'Or, not really big into that. And I'll accept the extra time.
Right.
Don't like it, I'll accept it.
But Club World Cup's getting it.
Oh, yeah.
Are you away for most of the Club World Cup? Probably best for everyone.
When is it? When is it?
It's the summer, isn't it?
Well,
June the 10th.
Well, the last time I took
I need
like,
dates.
I was June the 10th.
I'm definitely away early
Noted.
June, but the last time I took like a full 6 weeks off one summer.
Yeah, I think maybe you could do that again this summer.
Our boss didn't want me to do that.
Well, maybe.
I'm such a
maybe I do.
I'm such a jovial character.
We're at the Club World Cup.
I'm just going to pan it. We don't have the rights to it. I mean, if we had the rights to it, I'd have to go a little softer, not a lot.
Right.
Just a little, but we don't have the rights to it.
No.
So it's going to get the full mallet, the full malky, the full hammering.
Look forward to extra time in the Club World Cup.
Have they? Well, to be fair though, you've got to be fair to the Club World Cup, haven't you?
That is it. We are done. Thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated. ESPN FC is back tomorrow. No Craig tomorrow. No Jack.
I'm here tomorrow, yeah.
Are you, Shaq? What are you doing?
I don't know. Well,